All right, Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. I'm going to be doing a commentary on this guy, Charleston White. And let me say this. This guy's an enemy of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. He's made some very insane statements concerning the ministry, in the Lord. So the Lord will get all his enemies. But, sometimes he do make good points. And this came up into my feed. And the spirit was telling me to go ahead and do this commentary. So you know how this guy is, man. If you know about him, he wish-washy. So sometimes he makes some very great points, and sometimes he just bug the hell out. But I'm gonna use this commentary because this is heavy what he's saying. He's going into this whole system, how they trapped you up in so many ways. And I'm gonna do a lesson called America is a Trap House. I'm gonna do that lesson, like trap music. So trap music was used as a tool so you can self-destruct for the so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Feminism was used as a tool so you can self-destruct. The Christian church was used as a tool so you can self-destruct. This system has used these programs, food stamps, SNAP, all this madness to keep you in a perpetual trap. And it goes on and on. It's endless. So I'm going to get into, I don't want to ramble too much, but I'm going to be doing a commentary. I'm going to be interjecting and, elaborate more on the things that he's saying, because he's going to say some heavy things in this video that need to be said. And that's going on. And Christianity is the most racist religion that's ever been created. I'm saying this new version of Christianity. They did nothing but rape, rob, and pillage in the name of so-called white Jesus, and they actually brainwashed you and indoctrinated you on that version of Christianity. And that's why somebody had left a comment on one of my videos was saying we gotta be like nice about the truth. No. You don't understand. Do not oppression make a wise man mad, and that's in the scriptures, but you people don't know that. A lot of people that's outside the truth, that's new. The best thing you can do is listen and learn if you're new, because you don't know what's going on. You have to be built up. So hold your comments. If you want to say Shalom, good lesson, just keep it at that. So I'm gonna get into this commentary and let's get straight into it.
I don't watch nothing white people talk about, especially politics. That's the biggest con game sham. I'm playing con, homie. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I don't give a fuck about being Republican or Democrat. I'm playing on both parties because both parties is dumb. All you got to know is...
Yeah, so the whole concept, and now people get into this political system that they didn't set up. I marvel at the stupidity, because it really, when you study the history, it's like my voice kind of been choppy. When you study the history, the most racist party was the Democrat Party. If you go back and study your history, they got some of this term called Dixiecrats. The Democrat Party was known to be in conjunction with the Confederate States, the Southerners, the slave owners, the plantation owners. A lot of you don't know that, though, because after they signed the Civil Rights Bill, which that was a trap, Lyndon B. Johnson, which was very racist, he said, I have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 60 years. And he was known to use the N-word frequently in his administration. So if you study your history, which the Republican Party just is equally racist, but a lot of you don't know this, and you get into this political system without understanding the history. Let's keep going.
So it's some basic information about history and the Constitution, and you can play both sides. Because both sides are one and the same. A group of hateful old white people that are living in white fear because they know they done everybody wrong. And their greatest nightmare is one day somebody sits over them.
And that's going to happen for real. He's saying, he don't even know what he just said. What's the kingdom of heaven is about. You people think heaven is you're going to be up in the clouds and it's going to be so-called white angels, like you've been showing in those portraits in the cartoons. A lot of people think that because they don't know better. But the kingdom of heaven is going to be the rulership of the Israelites. And we're going to get revenge on all our enemies. That's what you don't know. He that leads into captivity. Matter of fact, let me get the scripture real quick. You people think the Bible is a fairy tale love story. You don't understand nothing because the ignorance. Whoever leads into captivity, the Bible, a big part of the Bible is revenge. And Christians don't know that because they think the Bible is a fairy tale love story because they into the religion of Christianity. They don't study the Bible. And that's why we don't take you Christians seriously. When you start saying the Bible's about love, we know you out of it. You're in a different dimension. Revelation 13:10, you might want to look this scripture up for you Christians. He that lead into the captivity shall go into captivity. Who led us into captivity? You reap what you sow. So you Christians that say those little catchphrases that you learn in Christianity, but when it comes to you, you don't want to make it applicable. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Thus said Yahweh, God as you call him. It says, here is the patience and the faith of the saints. The saints are the Israelites. It ain't just when the saints come marching in. Let's get more into this.
Losing their country and they blaming we ain't sent 9 grams of fentanyl all across the borders, just destroying their white kids, just overdosing on fentanyl and opiates. That's true. We ain't sent now motherfucking me coronavirus disease over here to cause a wipe out of sick homie, but they blaming they as if the crime bother them.
Yeah, so typically the average middle class so-called white person, they stay in their own demographic, they in their own communities. You go to most of these affluent and these middle class so-called neighborhoods, and it's going to be so-called majority so-called white people, and it's going to be very few so-called blacks, Hispanics sprinkled among them. So when they say they trying to make Jake, the crime, the face of crime, and most crimes are created by so-called white men. Look it up. Look it up for yourself. Most violent, horrendous crimes, mass, shootings and all that is so-called white people. So they trying to make the so-called blacks, Hispanics the problem. No, the problem is this racist ass system. That's the problem. Let's keep going.
Our crime do not affect white people. You know why? Because they got the prison on the stock exchange. So it ain't costing nobody no money to lock up. They making money off locking up. There go your free labor. So they complain about crime. They need.
Yeah, a lot of these big companies that you know of actually farm workers. When I mean farm, they use these workers. They pay them 5 cents an hour, 10 cents an hour, something crazy like that in some cases, and use them to make your furniture, all your goods that you get today. And I bet you didn't know about this. So this illusion that you've been given that they trying to stop crime, they need crime. And the crime that goes on is very minimum based into the whole grand scheme per the population of people. In a lot of these cities, crime is actually down. So they got an agenda to target. Jacob's trouble is coming. And if you can say we're in the midst of Jacob's trouble because they're targeting all the tribes of Israel. And it's just going to progressively get worse and worse. They're going to do away, what they're trying to actively do now is do away with the Constitution. As if the Constitution matters to us anyway. We don't give a damn about it. But according to the so-called white man piousness, him trying to be upright, which they not. I thought you're supposed to go by the Constitution, but they don't believe in that. Only when it benefits them. Let's get more into this.
This crime to keep black slaves. That's why, even if we never commit a crime, before you're born in America as a black person, you're already a criminal. This out. You know why? Because we can line up 50 black women. How many black women are having boys? They raise their hand. Okay, all black women line up over here. We go 1, 2, 3. One of y'all boys are going to prison before they're even born. Well, who's saying that? America. Yeah, so the system that you, Jake, support, they set all these different traps. Remember, it's a trap house. Many different traps and schemes in this place that you can't see. It's invisible because they do it in secrecy. And they got all these different little, like when they
did the feminism thing, that was aimed towards you so-called black women, Hispanic and Native American women. That was aimed. They made it seem like it was for everybody, but it was targeting you because they wanted you to destroy your own household. Now, thus, you got a generation of these crash shots. You got a generation of dope fiends. They own everything. They own these Perkins pills, everything. This is in the fathers was forced. They was forced the fathers out the household because if they was getting any kind of benefits, the father can't be in the household, man. That was all targeted. They made it seem like it was for everybody, but it was for you, so you can self-destruct. Thus, this is what you got. They got the rappers. They pay these rappers a lot of money to push destruct the Jewish people own the record companies. They set up these rappers to push destructive lyrics to you so you can go and copy them because they know most so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans don't have their fathers in the house. So they're looking for somebody to look up to, a role model. What are they going to look up to? These rappers, because they have the appearance of success. And they're going to mimic their behavior. And they're going to copy it and they're going to go to prison or end up dead or just destroyed.
Because America has a booming prison industry. And they need this prison industry. Not only that, it strips these black people of the rights we once gave them because we still need slaves for free labor. So this crime don't affect us. And it don't affect white people while you're using it as talking points.
Yeah, it's talking points because if you look at the stats, most crime among so-called black people, Jake is killing their own people. They not go, that's just how Jake been programmed. They're going to destroy their own people. They're not going to go destroy any other race. You know what I'm saying? So the crime is staying in-house, so to speak. So they're creating this narrative they're creating these different agendas, these talking points, so they can frame up these things, these agendas that they got planned to come after the tribes.
How many black women having babies? 1, 2, 3. One of y'all going to prison. You know why? Because the American statistic says 1 in every 3 black males will go to prison or be on some form of community supervision in their lifetime. It don't say maybe, it don't say well, but it says 1 in 3 will go.
And this all going back into these traps. So they gave you Christianity, they gave you white Jesus, they gave you the SNAP benefits, they gave you the welfare system, they gave you, they even put drugs in our community, they put guns in our community. That was the real Rick Ross. You brothers need to go watch that documentary. Matter of fact, in the lesson, I'll show you that documentary that you need to watch when they said it was finding guns and off trains and drugs that came out of nowhere. And they set all this stuff up so our people can self-destruct. And they actually did experiments by putting our people in projects, bunching them up together, giving them no, how can I say this? No benefits, not really benefits, but no way to really survive, right? No resources. That's the word I was looking for. And when you have no resources, drugs is in your community, you have no opportunities, you're going to self-destruct. And they actually created this gangster rap in I think the 1990s. That was the meeting that changed hip hop when they said they was going to only push destructive gangster rappers. And that's what happened. And thus you have people in the destroyed state of mind. Now you even got these women rappers that have destroyed the women because a lot of these women are masculine and the men are feminine. They reverse the roles. So that's why you're seeing all this dysfunctionality among our people and just the people in general. People are confused. People identifying with being gender neutral. That's a demon. It's demonic right now. It's the worst that it's ever been. And he's going to see it progressively get worse and worse. But the so-called white man is pulling the strings. He's causing all this havoc. So again, they let the migrants come in, and they the real migrants. You know what I'm saying? They the real immigrants, but they'll call everybody else. You see how they play that game? They let them come in so they can bring the order out of chaos. So they created the chaos so they can bring in the order. It's all in a playbook. But I'm gonna have to do maybe a part 2 on this because there's more information I want to go into. Hopefully this has been edifying. Call Halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Chak Kodesh Shalom.